Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today on the channel, we're finally getting around to reviewing the M4 Mac Mini. So I got this Mac Mini several months ago. It was back in the springtime. I think it was like March, maybe, when I finally picked this up. So you can go back on the channel and you can check out that unboxing video if you want to. But I've now been using this computer for many months now, so I want to give you my thoughts about it today. So first off, the reason why I got a Mac Mini is a couple different things. Number one, my previous computer was a 2018 MacBook Air. That was the computer that basically started this channel, and it was fantastic. And at the time, I had the need for a laptop. However, now in this different stage of life that I'm in, I don't necessarily need a laptop anymore. So I wanted to get something a little bit more permanent to my desk, and it was either going to be an iMac or a Mac Mini. Well, after, obviously thinking about it a little bit, I already had a monitor, I already had a mouse. The only thing I was missing was a keyboard. So getting the base model Mac Mini was just the right choice for me. Now I say base model, but there actually is one slight upgrade here on this one. Instead of 256 gigabytes, I did bump up the hard drive to, or I should say the SSD to 512 gigs, just to kind of future-proof it, give me that extra storage, because on my MacBook Air, I did the exact same thing, and I definitely needed that extra. So this Mac Mini, though, is a tremendous value. I mean, for only $599, you can get a Mac Mini with an M4 chip, 16 gigs of RAM, and the 256 gig SSD. And that M4 chip is what makes this thing so amazing, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Also, by the way, if you want to, you can use Apple's education discount and you can get this for $499. And if you trade in a Mac or another device, you can take even more money off that. So really, this computer is really hard to pass up. It's really one of the best value Apple products for sale today. Now the Mac Mini has had the same design for quite some time. I believe it was all the way back in like 2010 where we've had that same kind of designed Mac Mini. Now some things have obviously changed over the years. We've removed ports, we've added ports, we've changed obviously the processor, the RAM and stuff on the inside, but the design has been the same for over a decade. So Apple has finally got around to redesigning the Mac Mini, and now I think personally this definitely deserves the Mini name. This computer, if you have not seen it in person, I recommend you head to the local Apple store or Best Buy or something and check it out, because you won't believe the size of this thing. It's looking more like an Apple TV than an actual computer. It's only 5 inches wide, 5 inches deep, and then 2 inches tall. So it is just a really compact little design, and it's definitely going to fit a lot better in your workspace or on your desk than the previous Mac Mini. Yes, the previous Mac Mini was much thinner, but it was just much bigger footprint. Now with this new design, you do get still some great connectivity. So on the front, you have 2 USB-C ports, and then of course you have your headphone jack, your 3.5mm headphone jack, which is nice to see. And then depending on whether or not you get M4 chip or M4 Pro, you'll have a slightly different capability here on the back of the computer. So on the left-hand side, obviously you get your power slot there, and then you have Ethernet, which is nice, HDMI port, display port, and then you have 3 Thunderbolt ports on the back as well. However, if you get the M4 chip, those are Thunderbolt 4, and if you get the M4 Pro, they're Thunderbolt 5 chips. And of course, the Ethernet can be configurable up to 10 gigabits, just like all the previous Mac Minis have been. So as far as connectivity and capability, that's pretty good. And that HDMI port can support quite a bit display. So if you have the M4, you can do up to 3 displays with 6K resolution, 2 displays at 5K, or 1 display at 8K. If you bump up to the M4 Pro, that improves even more. 3 displays at 6K, 2 at 6K, or 8K, so pretty nice connectivity there. But yeah, overall, this thing, like I said, it deserves the Mini name now. It's super compact, fits on your desk great, and I love the new design. I think Apple did a really good job with this design. Now, of course, another thing that makes this so great is Apple Silicon. So we have the latest and greatest chip from Apple, which is the M4 chip. The M4, or I should say Apple Silicon, is not necessarily new to the Mac Mini. They did throw that in the previous design of the Mac Mini the past few years until they came out with this redesign. So Apple Silicon is nothing new, but the M4 chip is pretty powerful. So in its base configuration, the M4 has a 10-core CPU with 4 performance cores and 6 efficiency cores, and a 10-core GPU. It also has the hardware-accelerated ray tracing, a 16-core neural engine, and 120 gigabytes a second memory bandwidth. And then that M4 chip can also be configurable. It comes base with 16 gigs of RAM, but you can bump that up to 24 or 32 gigabytes. And then storage-wise, these are kind of crazy as well. The base storage is 256, then you can go to 512, 1 terabyte, or 2 terabytes. And then if you opt for that M4 Pro chip, which I don't think most people looking to buy this computer are going to need, but if you have the extra money and you want to just go crazy, then you can definitely go for it. But the M4 Pro bumps up that CPU 2 more cores and doubles the performance cores to 8. And then there are 4 efficiency cores, and your GPU goes from 10 to 16. So pretty crazy specs there. And then you can go really crazy with the RAM. It comes base with 24 gigs, but you can bump that all the way up to 48 or 64 gigs. And then the hard drive space can go all the way up to 8 terabytes, which Apple's cost for extra hard drive space is insane. So I probably don't think many people are buying a Mac Mini absolutely spec'd out. They're probably going for maybe a Mac Studio or something even more if they need that kind of power. But let's talk now about the performance. So Apple Silicon has been amazing. It has been outperforming pretty much all the Intel chips that have ever been in a Mac. And I think it's one of the best decisions in the long run that Apple's definitely made for themselves, is to use their own chipsets, which helps lower the cost slightly of their computers, but also gives you some great performance. Seeing these numbers on paper in a computer that only costs about $600 is pretty wild. And the performance, like I said, it's going to be more than enough for most people. My most intensive use case on this computer here is editing 4K video in iMovie, and that's just light work for this computer. I mean, it really is. If you look on YouTube and you see other people out there who are doing some more intensive things, I've seen a lot of music production, Logic Pro, GarageBand, whatever, a lot of editing, 4K, 6K, whatever video in Final Cut Pro, virtual machines. A lot of these are used for servers. People buy a bunch of Mac Minis and use them for servers and different things. So really, a lot of people, I mean, the opinion that I've been seeing is it really surprises a lot of those power users. A lot of those power users that were just doing, review videos and seeing what it could do are now ending up using this as their main machine, which just tells you how impressive it really is. But as far as the performance goes, it's super snappy. macOS is greatly optimized for the M4 chip, Apple Silicon, but that's how all Apple products are, when especially like with your iPhone, iOS, it's just optimized so well for the software. So the software runs great, macOS runs great. Everything is super snappy, instant to load. You don't have to wait long for things whatsoever. Editing, I know I'm doing some pretty basic editing in iMovie and stuff, but it's super quick, it's super simple. There's no lag or anything in the timeline, and it's just really, really good. So for most people, performance, base, M4 chip, that's all you're going to need. And even if you do some more intensive things, I mean, you could probably, compile code on this computer, no problem. Like I said, if you do virtual machines through like Parallels or VMware or whatever, I think those support Apple Silicon. Those are something that I'm going to be trying here in the future, so hopefully I have some more videos about virtual machines on this device, because we can't use VirtualBox anymore, unfortunately, since it's not supported with Apple Silicon. But long story short here is, should you buy a Mac Mini? I would say absolutely, especially in its base configuration. It's such a hard value to beat. And if you obviously don't need portability, like you don't need a laptop, then this is just a no-brainer. However, if you need a laptop, you can always get an M4 MacBook Air and enjoy basically the same kind of performance. But if you need a permanent solution desktop computer here, this is what you want. And it's nice too with a Mac Mini, because you can add your own monitor, your own keyboard, your mouse. Like I said, I'm just using the Magic Mouse from Apple, and I'm using an LG 29-inch ultrawide. I already had those two things with the MacBook Air. The only thing I had to buy was the mechanical keyboard, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, you can't just beat the value. That's what I've been just hammering in here. You cannot beat this value. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you today with this video. Thank you for watching the channel as always, and I will catch you all in the next one.